The most important Los Angeles Laker of all time, without doubt, is Elgin Baylor. Baylor had regular season averages of 27.4 points per game, 13.5 rebounds per game, 4.3 assists per game, shot at a clip greater than 43% and greater than 78% from the free throw line. In the playoffs, in the postseason, he posted 27 points per game, 12.9 rebounds per game, 4 assists per game, shot just shy of 44% from the field and just shy of 77% from the free throw line. During his career, Baylor was selected to the All-NBA First Team 10 times, was an 11-time All-Star, won the 1959 All-Star Game MVP, was selected as Rookie of the Year, was selected to the NBA's 35th and 50th anniversary teams, had his number 22 retired by the Lakers, and is a member of the Naismith Hall of Fame. His regular season game highs include 71 points, a then NBA single-game record, having held the previous record himself with 64 points, 31 rebounds, a feat he achieved twice with another game of 30 rebounds, and 16 assists with 29 games of double-digit assists in his career. His playoff game highs include 61 points, which is second all-time to Michael Jordan's 63 points in playoff history, and is still the most points in an NBA Finals game. He recorded 23 rebounds, something that happened 3 times, twice in the NBA Finals, along with 13 games of 20 or more rebounds in the postseason, with 7 of those 20 rebound games in the NBA Finals, as well as 12 assists as a game high, and had 6 separate postseason games of 10 assists or more. Elgin Baylor posted 26 regular season triple-doubles and 4 postseason triple-doubles, peaking out with a season high of 5 triple-doubles, a feat he accomplished twice. And this was back when rebounds were tougher to get, albeit a vast amount available, and assists were essentially pass and shoot statistics. However, Baylor's statistical achievements have him sitting in the record books for a variety of reasons. Baylor is the only man in NBA history to at one point have held the single-game scoring records in the regular season, in the playoffs, and the finals. Yes, at one point, Elgin Baylor held the regular season records and is the only man in NBA history to have held a single-game scoring record in the regular season, in the playoffs, and the finals. His career 27.4 point per game scoring average in the regular season has him third all-time, just behind Michael Jordan and Wilt Chamberlain, while his career 27 point per game scoring average in the playoffs has him sitting 8 all-time, and at the time of his retirement, it was second all-time. In the regular season, his 1960-61 average of 34.8 points per game sits him 12th all-time, while his 1960-61 and 1960-62 postseason averages of 31.8 points and 38.6 points sit him 4th and 5th all-time in a single playoff run. Baylor scored 60 points or more regular season and playoffs 4 times. At one stage, he was the only all-time leader in 60 point per he was the all-time leader in 60 point per point game efforts, and outside of Wilt Chamberlain was the only man with 4 60-point games until Michael Jordan scored his 4th 60-point game on March 28, 1990. As a rebounder, he is the shortest player ever to average more than 15 rebounds per game for a season, listed at 6'5", and this is a feat he achieved 4 times between 1958-59 and 1961-62, averaging 15 rebounds per game, 16.4 rebounds per game, 19.8 rebounds per game, and 18.6 rebounds per game, respectively. Elgin is one of only 5 players to ever attempt 50 field goal attempts in a game. This is along with Joe Fulks, Rick Barry, Kobe Bryant, and Wilt Chamberlain. The one time it occurred for Baylor was on December 8th, 1961, in the greatest offensive game in NBA history. Elgin Baylor also holds other records. Baylor is one of 10 players with 10 All-NBA first-team selections, along with Bob Pettit, Michael Jordan, Jerry West, Bob Cousy, Tim Duncan, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Karl Malone, Kobe Bryant, and LeBron James. He has the second most by a small forward in league history, behind LeBron. Elgin is one of 2 players in league history to have made 10 All-NBA first teams and never have won the MVP award. The other on that list, obviously, Jerry West. That's what you call playing in stacked era. Baylor is one of 5 players with multiple All-NBA selections, and all of those selections being the first team. Yes, he is one of 5 players that has multiple All-NBA team selections, with all of them being on the first team. The others on that list, George Mikan, 6 from 6, Anthony Davis and Max Zafslowski with 4 each, and Alex Grozer with 2. The true impact of Elgin Baylor on the NBA is something that can't be measured on the back of stats and achievements. While they are both glaring highlights of a dazzling career, his impact surpasses anything the record book or calculator can show. Elgin Baylor was drafted first in the 1958 NBA draft to the Minneapolis Lakers and can be argued as the most important number 1 draft pick in league history. How important? The Lakers franchise would have ceased to exist had he not joined the team. With the team finishing a pedestrian 19-53, or a .264 winning percentage, worse than the Houston Rockets as of the end of play of March 21st, 2021, and removed from the glory days of George Mikan, Baylor was convinced to skip his senior season to join the team. As quoted in the LA Times of 1971, then owner of the team, Bob Short, said, quote, "If he had turned me down then, I would have been out of business. The club would have gone bankrupt." Has any other rookie in the history of sports joined a team with that much pressure? And how did he handle this? The Lakers, under the guidance of Baylor, went from falling off the edge into obscurity to the NBA Finals in his rookie year. Posting averages of 24.9 points, 15 rebounds and 4.1 assists, Baylor would lead the Lakers into the playoffs. Their first playoff series saw them take down the George Yardley-led Detroit Pistons in 3 games. And while Game 3 saw a blowout, a major challenge faced them next. Standing in the way of a miracle NBA Finals berth were the defending champion St. Louis Hawks, led by the 1959 MVP, Bob Pettit. In their 11 regular season games that year against the Hawks, St. Louis had a winning record 7-4. In one of the all-time playoff performances, and certainly one of the podium finishes for the best rookie playoff series ever, Elgin Baylor lifted the Lakers to victory in Game 6, averaging 28.3 points on the series, including 4 games of 30 points or more and 3 games of at least 30 points and 12 rebounds. This would be the end of the line for Baylor and his Lakers, however, as that Celtic team took back the championship in a series sweep. Elgin posted 4 double-doubles, including 2 games of 30 points of at least 30 points and 11 rebounds. Notably, the Lakers were blown out in Games 2 by 20 points and Games 3 by 13 points, when Baylor was kept to a pedestrian 13 and 14 points respectively. In Games 1 and 4, where he scored 34 points and 30 points, the margins were just 3 points and 5 points. One can only imagine how that series goes if he had help. Baylor had revolutionised the game with his play style. He took the game off the ground with his tremendous leaping ability, with the reported ability to touch above the square on the glass, and athletic play style, a style that Dr. J and MJ made famous as the game grew after him. The Lakers were saved. They had the best box office perimeter player in the league, and they looked set to be competitive for an extended period. Baylor finished 3rd in MVP as a rookie, which is the highest finish by a non-winning rookie of the award in league history, alongside Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. The following year saw more continued success for Baylor and the Lakers, averaging 29.6 points, 16.4 rebounds, and 3.5 assists. The Lakers once again found themselves in the playoffs off the back of Baylor's elite level of play, this time sweeping the Pistons in the first round. However, another tough matchup against St. Louis saw them fall in a tough 7-game series despite leading 3-2. Baylor was still phenomenal in the series. 33.7 points, 13.6 rebounds and 46.5 field goal percent averages for the series. Saw him with 5 games of 30 points or more, 4 games of 35 points or more, 2 games of 40 points or more, 5 games of at least 10 rebounds, and 3 games of at least 15 rebounds. It was clear that Elgin was a generational talent. It was clear that the Lakers were now a genuine contender. But there were 2 more pieces to the puzzle missing from the 5th place MVP that need to be put into place. They were the city of Los Angeles, and Jerry West. Both of these came in the 1960-61 season. Moving from Minneapolis to Tinseltown, the Lakers were now establishing themselves from a minor market success to eventually becoming one of the premier franchises in world sport. Baylor saved them. He now had to grow them. This growth would be aided as the Lakers drafted the logo himself, Jerry West. Forming one of the greatest duos in league history, Los Angeles had a tandem that was as good as any in the league both at the time and throughout league history. While the rookie West started to path out his own legendary career, his assistance to Baylor was more than appreciated, as the team again saw victory over the Pistons in the first round, only to be bundled out in 7 games again against the Hawks, again in the divisional finals, and again after another 3-2 lead. 7-game battle with the Hawks again saw Baylor at his best, averaging 37.1 points, 15.6 rebounds on around 45% shooting. Game 1 saw him post 44 points and 14 rebounds. Game 2 saw him post 35 points and 9 rebounds. Game 3 saw him post a triple-double of 25 points, 18 rebounds, 10 assists. Game 4, 31 points and 15 rebounds. Game 5, 47 points and 20 rebounds. Game 6, 39 points and 21 rebounds. And Game 7, 39 points, 12 rebounds. Baylor's third season in the league was superb, finishing third again in MVP voting and earning his third straight All-Star and All-NBA selection, averaging 34.8 points, 19.8 rebounds, and 5.1 assists. The list of NBA players in a season to average at least 34 points, 19 rebounds, and 5 assists on a season: Elgin Baylor. That's it. That's the list. In 1961-62, the most favoured season in NBA history, Baylor would manage just 48 games due to active duty in the US Army Reserve and only being available to play games on the weekend. That didn't stop him, though, from posting the greatest season from a player to have played less than 50 games. Baylor in 1961-62 averaged 38.8 points, 18.6 rebounds, and 4.6 assists. He was selected as an All-Star, once again selected to the All-NBA first team, and finished 4th in MVP voting. This was the same MVP race that saw Bill Russell win the award by beating out Oscar Robinson's famous triple-double season, as well as Wilt Chamberlain's 50.4 point-per-game season. By far the greatest MVP race in NBA history. The Lakers would win a then franchise record of 54 games, with only their second 50-win season in history, and a team record that stood until 1969, and see them to the second-best team as the second-best team in the league. The playoffs saw them straight to the division finals, taking on Detroit, and in another ridiculous effort from Elgin Baylor, he posted 36.3 points and 17.5 rebounds as the top scorer in 5 of those 6 games, highlighted immensely by a 45-point, 17-rebound effort in Game 4. It was time to head back to the NBA Finals, against you-know-who. In one of the great playoff series in league history, the Lakers and Celtics duelled it out for the second time in 4 years for the championship, and the first of 6 times in the decade of the 60s. Elgin Baylor and Jerry West did everything in their grasp to try and deliver the ultimate goal for the Lakers. Baylor for the series averaged 40.6 points, 17.9 rebounds, and 3.7 assists. Jerry West for the series averaged 31.1 points, 5 rebounds, and 2.7 assists. Baylor's 40.6 point-per-game average is the third highest in NBA Finals history. And with it, Elgin Baylor became the first player to average 40 points per game in a playoff series and a final series, a record which he held as both a playoff series and final series points per game record until it was passed in the playoffs by Jerry West in 1965 and in the finals by Rick Barry in 1967. In that series, his game-by-game reads like a video game itself. Game 1, 35-17-3. Game 2, 36-12-5. Game 3, 39-23-4. Game 4, 38-14-6. Game 5, an NBA Finals record, 61 points to go with 22 rebounds and an assist. Game 6, 34-15-3. And Game 7, 41-22-4. All of this to be defeated by 3 points in a Game 7. One criticism of Baylor throughout his career was the fact he could shoot the Lakers out of games. This was no more evident in that Game 7 of that series, where his 13 for 40 effort, such a tight loss, could be pinpointed as a reason. However, it is undeniable that the Lakers would not be in such situations had it not been for Baylor A, saving the team, and B, playing his backside off to get the team deep into the business end of the season. The Lakers would again make a deep run, posting another 50-win season and returning to the NBA Finals off the back of Baylor in 62-63. Overall, this season could be regarded as the best of Baylor's career, averaging 34 points, 14.3 rebounds, 4.8 assists, 45.3% from the field, and 83.7% from the stripe. Finished runner-up in MVP voting and was selected to the All-NBA first team as well as an All-Star. This is the only season he played 80 games in and is easily his most efficient. The playoffs saw more familiar faces waiting for the Lakers. Bob Pettit and the Hawks were back for another grueling 7-game series with the Lakers coming out victors again and off to the championship round. Baylor in that series, again, a monster. Rounded averages of 32 points and 12 rebounds. Back to the finals and again back to the Celtics. History can tell us the result went the way of the Celtics, but it rarely can tell us how he performed. In the 1962-63 NBA Finals, Elgin Baylor averaged 33.8 points, 15 rebounds, 4.3 assists, 46.6% from the field, and 83.6% from the stripe, peaking out in Game 5 with a score of 43 points, 20 rebounds, and an assist. To make key note of this, 3 of the 4 Laker defeats in this 6-game series were by 3 points. In 5 seasons, Baylor had led the Lakers to the finals on 3 occasions, going down each time to that Celtic team. 1963-64 saw the Lakers miss the finals, and after a defeat at the hands of the Bob Pettit-led St. Louis Hawks, largely thanks to a drop in Baylor's output. Compared to 1962-63, all of his major measurables were down, with his scoring dropping by 8.6 points in the regular season and 8.4 points in the playoffs. However, he still garnered All-Star and All-NBA first-team selection. This would be a rough 2-year period for the man who saved the Lakers, as despite All-Star and All-NBA selection in 1965, would manage just 1 game in the 65 playoffs with build-up knee problems, seeing him suffer a severe knee injury that required surgery. Baylor would return in the 1965-66 season to play 65 games following the procedure. However, he would produce at career low levels as he rebuilt his game while dealing with knee issues. For the season, he averaged 16.6 points, 9.6 rebounds, and 3.4 assists on 40.1% from the field and just under 74% from the stripe. With fitness under his belt and a better understanding of how his body would now react on the floor, Baylor boosted his efforts through the playoffs to see him help guide the Lakers back to the finals. 26.8 points, 14.1 rebounds, 3.7 assists on 44.2% from the field and 81% from the free throw line. First round saw St. Louis again on the opposite side of the floor, now led by Zelmo Beatty, take the Lakers to another 7 games, despite the Lakers owning a 3-1 series lead at one stage. Baylor's series averages of 28.6 points, 13.1 rebounds, and 5.1 assists, 48.8 from the field and 85.1 from the stripe, proved to be one of the most efficient of his career. Peaking out in this series in Game 2, with a 42-point, 14-rebound, 9-assist effort on 63% from the field and 89% from the stripe. Then once again, it was time to visit the Celtics. The Lakers led the West with 45 wins, while the Celtics were placed second in the East with 54 wins. The Lakers hadn't won a championship in LA. The Celtics were aiming for an 8th straight title. As the story goes, the Celtics would win the series in another 7-game battle. This time, the roles of a 3-1 lead were reversed, with the Celtics cruising to victory. Baylor through the 4 games had, by his standards, been pedestrian. 22.8 points, 15.3 rebounds, 1.8 assists, just over 40% from the field, and 65.5 from the stripe. His 2 best games, 36-20 and 24-12, then motivated Baylor to explode and force a Game 7. In Game 5, he posted 41 points and 16 rebounds, and in Game 6, 25 points, 14 rebounds, and 6 assists. However, it proved not to be enough as the Celtics came away in Game 7. Baylor was kept to just 18-14 on 27.3% as the Lakers went down by 2 points. The Lakers don't get to a Game 7 without his efforts, but they may have won had he kept form. Following his return from injury, Baylor, in a changed role, clearly the second option behind West at this stage, continued to garner All-Star and All-NBA first-team selection. In his final 4 years as an All-Star, Baylor would average no less than 24 points and 10 rebounds. A year off from the finals in 1967, the Lakers, under the guidance of West and Baylor, returned to the big dance in 1968, as Baylor again finished third in MVP voting to go with an All-Star selection and All-NBA first-team selection. The Lakers cruised through to the division semi-finals and finals with an 8-1 record against Chicago and San Francisco. Across those 9 games, Elgin Baylor averaged 30.1 points and 15.9 rebounds. A battle with Boston was on the cards, and the hopes of the Lakers had never been higher. However, revenge had been swept for the Celtics in the Eastern Division Finals, coming back from 3-1 down against the defending champion Philadelphia 76ers and three-peat MVP Wilt Chamberlain. This was their 11th finals trip. It'd be their 10th NBA championship, and it was their 6th championship win against the Lakers. Baylor in the series averaged 22.6 points, 12.5 rebounds, 4.3 assists, 46.5 from the field, and 64.1 from the stripe. Baylor peaked out in this series at 30 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 assists, posting 5 games of double-digit rebounds, including 2 games of 15 rebounds or more. The offseason saw the Lakers make one of the biggest roster moves in NBA history. The one key element of the Lakers had been missing for the best part of 15 years was a dominant big man. Well, why not go and get the most dominant individual big man in league history off the back of 3 straight MVP seasons? Wilt Chamberlain. Now playing as the third best player on a squad that at the time contained the 3 best playoff scorers in history, Elgin was able to get one more All-Star and All-NBA season out of himself, averaging 24.8 points, 10.6 rebounds, 5.4 assists, 44.7 from the field, and 74.3 from the stripe. With the Lakers setting a then franchise record of 55 wins, breaking the record Baylor and West set earlier in the decade, the cruise through the NBA Finals yet again against you-know-who, with a postseason record of 8-3, including a 6-game winning streak. But Baylor's efforts in the playoffs, however, had seen his production drop significantly to this point, averaging only 13.7 points, 8.8 rebounds and 4.3 assists, 37.8 from the field and 67.3% from the stripe through 11 games. This would be a crucial sign of things to come against the Celtics. The 1969 NBA Finals are best remembered for the ungodly efforts of Jerry West securing the first Finals MVP award, and the only one ever given to a player on a losing side, as well as the Celtics sending Russell out with an 11th championship ring. What it is not remembered for, or talked about, is the combined 15 of 51 shooting for only 40 points from Chamberlain and Elgin Baylor in games 3 and 4 combined. Had West garnered the support he needed in these games, the Lakers win the series in 5 games, if not a sweep. This is a harsh criticism for one man who saved, revived, and allowed an entire franchise to thrive, and another who was coming off 3 consecutive MVPs in 3 seasons prior, but it was a fair criticism. Elgin's window of championship opportunity was still there, well and truly open, however. With the retirement of Bill Russell at the start of the new decade, the Lakers were in the box seat to take control. The Lakers of 1969-70 were set back early, with Wilt Chamberlain forced out with injury and only available in 12 games prior to the playoffs. This would be Baylor's last season as an All-Star, posting 24 points, 10.6 rebounds, and 5.4 assists, averaging 48.6 from the field and 77.3 from the stripe. Supporting West through the season, with Wilt back in business for the business end of the season, the Lakers would be challenged early in the Western Division Finals, by Phoenix. They were down 3-1, and the Lakers would win games 5, 6, and 7 convincingly by 17, 11, and 35 points respectively. Baylor would play a crucial role in Game 7 of the series, proving to be a reliable second option to Chamberlain as he posted 25 points, 14 rebounds, 7 assists, 52.6% from the field, and 83.3% from the stripe. Elgin would then play the last great playoff series of his career in a 4-0 sweep of the Atlanta Hawks en route to the NBA Finals. For the series, he averaged 23 points, 11.8 rebounds, 4.3 assists, 47.8% from the field, and 74.3% from the stripe. This series was highlighted by a 31-point, 10-rebound, 7-assist effort on 59.1% from the field and 100% from the stripe to close out the series in Game 4. The NBA Finals would be the last time Baylor would see the floor in the playoffs. Taking on the New York Knicks and MVP Willis Reed, the Lakers felt they had all the pieces of the puzzle that had taken over a decade to piece together in order to succeed. With the series tied at 3-3 thanks to an injury to Willis Reed in Game 5 before Wilt Chamberlain posted a monster 40-20 effort in Game 6, the Lakers looked set to win it all in the world's most famous arena. And that was until Willis Reed walked on the floor. With the crowd on their side, Willis nailing the first 2 baskets of the game, and Walt Frazier playing the game of his life, the Knicks ran away to the locker room with their first championship by 14 points. The Lakers' big 3 were outplayed either on the scoreboard or in the psychological battle. The chances of getting the ultimate goal had slipped away again. And with it went the final chance for Elgin Baylor to win it all. Injuries can be pinpointed to the middle of Elgin's career as to why the Lakers weren't able to get over the hump. Injuries can be pointed, when it comes to his drop-off as a player, to a second and third option. And they can be pointed to for the ending of his career. 2 games into the 1970-71 season, Elgin Baylor would rupture his Achilles tendon, forcing him to miss the remainder of the year. Returning at the start of 1971-72, Baylor retired just 9 games in due to continued knee issues and injuries. Just 5 days after his retirement, the Lakers would begin their famous and still league record 33-game winning streak en route to their first championship in Los Angeles. Baylor did not receive a championship credit or a championship ring to his name for that season. Post-playing career, Elgin Baylor was elected to the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame, coached the New Orleans Jazz, won Executive of the Year in 05-06 for the Clippers, and had his number 22 retired by the Lakers. Elgin's passing at the time of this video, while of great sadness, is also of cause to celebrate one of the most remarkable basketball lives this great game has seen. Elgin Baylor turned a fledgling small market team into one of, if not, the most recognisable franchise in world sport. All whilst delivering a play-style blueprint of athleticism and high-flying acrobatics that very few have mastered since. Rest in peace, Elgin Baylor, the most important Los Angeles Laker of all time.